Hello, welcome to another edition of Jump Around Weekly. Today is October 19th. As we sit here and get ready to film our little Zoom cast, I guess you could call it. We're fired up that we have a legendary Badger on our program as a guest. He is the one and only Coach Duane Kleven. Coach, welcome to the show. How are you doing, buddy?
Doing good, Chris.
Good. Hey, let's jump right into it, Coach. You've been around us for the last couple of years, and you've really helped us out, really getting to know the old alumni and getting to know a lot of the people from your era. After I did some research on you, talk to me a little bit. 3 national champions in 1976. Tell me a little bit about that year and how special those 3 guys were.
Well, Christensen wasn't even seated, and he won it. I think Reinwan was seated like 4th, and he won it, and Kemp was seated 1. And he won it. We kind of expected Kemp to win it. We thought Reinwan might place, and we didn't know with Pat. He just had one of those days where nothing could go wrong, and it was a lot of fun. Then we had 2 the next year and 2 the year after. So at one point in time there, we had more national champions than any other team in the country for 3 years.
Wow. Speaking of Pat Christensen, this week the NCAA awarded some their postseason championships, and I know that he's out in Las Vegas, runs a bunch of events, and they just got, I believe it's hockey, will be an NCAA championship out there, and he's trying to bring wrestling out to Vegas. Do you know anything about that? Do you still keep in touch with Pat?
Yeah, I do. I've talked to him quite a bit. I'm sure he'll make an effort. You know, they've had that invitational out there for a number of years. I don't know if Las Vegas is a great place to have it, though, but a lot of people, there's a lot of distractions out there.
Right. He also runs the U.S. Open out there that has been, the freestyle invitational as well. And I always enjoy seeing Pat, and I got to spend some time with him the last time I was in Vegas a couple of years ago. So it was a wonderful thing.
Well, he was voted the most influential sports figure in Las Vegas, I don't know, a few years back. He's a get-it-done guy, and he thinks outside the box. He brings a lot of things that's his job, bring new things into Las Vegas.
Right. I got one more personal question for you, Coach, before I turn it over to the other coaches. I didn't know you were in the Korean War. Explain a little bit about your experience there and how that was.
They weren't shooting when I was there. In fact, I had a real interesting tour. I was there 13 months, and I really only soldiered about 4 of the months. I coached the baseball team, the battle group baseball team, and then wound up being an assistant coach on the division football team. So there wasn't a lot going on when I was there. It was kind of a boring place. It was just an occupational force. Nobody was shooting. So just 13 months away from my family was kind of tough.
Right. Coach Reeder.
Hey, Coach, how are you doing? I appreciate you coming on today. I want to talk a little bit about your years prior to getting to UW and kind of your road to being the head coach at UW. Can you talk a little bit about your time at Racine leading up to UW?
Well, I was very fortunate. I came out of the Army and went to Racine Park as the assistant wrestling coach, and the head coach left after the first year. And Racine was a very, very large community, and the only large community in the state of Wisconsin that had junior high school wrestling. We had 6 junior highs, and all 6 had good coaches. They didn't necessarily wrestle themselves, but they worked well with kids. So I guess it was my second year as head coach. We won the state championship. And then we should have won it our 3rd year, but we didn't have a good tournament. And we won it again my 4th year there. Had 5 state champions in those 3 years. Won it fairly easily. Had a lot of minority kids on my team. In fact, we've had reunions for both those groups, and it's been quite an affair. Went from there to University of Wisconsin, Oshkosh. Was there 1 year, and my coach back here, the head coach, drowned in Canada. He was liked to fish, and he got caught in the whirlpool there and drowned after. So I was contacted by Elroy Hirsch and found out later that he had John Roberts, somebody, the head of the WIAA, actually hire me. He called the shot. John was a captain and a national runner-up here. Wisconsin also played football and was the executive director of the Wisconsin Interscholastic Athletic Association. So I came here in 1970, and again, it was very, very fortunate. I got a lot of support from Mr. Hirsch. The high school coaches were terrific. And probably the thing that was most important in the success we had here was the Wisconsin Wrestling Club. And to start with, it was just Russ Hellickson, one person. Well, I got some business people in town involved to hire some of these Olympic team members, and we had about half of the 1976 wrestling team, national wrestling team. We had John and Ben Peterson both worked out with us. Russ, of course, worked out and coached it. Jack Reinwand, who was third in the world, Jimmy Haynes, who was second in the world, Andy Ryan, who was second in the Olympics. And they were in our wrestling room. And I let them work out whoever they wanted to work out with. And it changed our whole mental approach to the game, having people like that around. And then when we signed Lee Kemp, so for about 4 years or 3 years for sure, there was pretty much a consensus that we had the best wrestler in the country was wrestling for the University of Wisconsin. So again, I was very fortunate. Just the right place at the right time and the right people.
No, that's great, Coach. I appreciate it. Moving on into your UW career, 9 NCAA champions, 25 All-Americans. You were named 1977 NCAA Coach of the Year. I would love to just off the top of your head, can you recall any great stories or memories from all those individuals you just named for being in your room?
Well, obviously the year we had 3 national champions, I got a lot of speaking engagements and calls on wrestling clinics that year. Finally almost made a living. We had an awful lot of character on that team, and kids like Haynes and Reinwand and Ron Yeide and Pat Christensen, all Wisconsin kids, and only one of them was ever a state champion. That was Haynes. I think Reinwand was third. Pat never placed. Ron Yeide never placed. But when you had the wrestling room that we had, Yeide had 2 gold medalists and a silver medalist to work out with. Now, if you survive, you're going to be pretty good. It was a lot of fun. And our wrestling club, now everybody's doing that, and they're making a lot of money. But ours was all supported by businesses in the community. John Fladd hired Ben Peterson. John Peterson coached was a head coach at Madison West High School. Lee Kemp worked for CUNA. Both Jack and both Ron and Jack and Jimmy were all married, and their wives worked so they could train. I don't know if you could do that now. It just kind of all came together.
Right.
Russ was a great technician.
That's
Very
great.
fortunate.
Great. Coach Gross.
Awesome. Yeah. So you coached a lot of great athletes, and this is something we talked about a couple of weeks ago, but what would you say if you had to pick something that is the most important trait that kind of attributed to those guys' success back in the day? You had a really great run. What was something you saw kind of contributed to that?
Well, character played a big role. One thing that I look back on is the first year that I was there, we were 13-4 and finished 5th in the Big Ten, and I dropped 8 of the teams. I mean, there wasn't anybody there that was pushing us. And we scheduled Iowa State, Michigan State. We didn't even wrestle them, and they were in our conference before. And we wound up 6-10 and 9th in the Big Ten. That was a downer, not a fun year for me, not a fun year for my family at all. But we knew what it took then to get going. you couldn't wrestle the way we were. And the next year we were third in the Big Ten, and we had a national champion, which we needed. Or I guess he was a runner-up. He was a national champion the following year, Rick Lavinger, who passed away here a couple of months ago. I think the fact that, we wrestled Michigan, Michigan State, Iowa State, and Athletes in Action all within 10 days and got beat good every time. But we came back and learned something from it.
Coach, 132 dual meet wins. Can you pick one that was the most special?
Beating Iowa State in the Fieldhouse after they beat us 37-3 down there. They came up here the next year and beat us 26-18, I think. And then I told Harold Nichols, I said, we need you. We got to split you and Iowa up. We can't take you both the same weekend. Could you come back here? And Harold was always good about promoting the sport. He came back here. We had Lee Kemp injured and beat him 17-15. I think that probably, and then we beat the two Oklahoma schools, the only wrestling team ever to do that. They called it the suicide swing. We went down there and beat Oklahoma and Oklahoma State on this back-to-back nights. And the referee was a little hard to work with at Oklahoma State, but we managed to win anyway.
Oh boy, I've been on that swing a couple of times when I've been in the Big Eight, and I understand every word you just said. That's for sure. But well, Coach, we appreciate all you do for us, man. We'd like to keep you around here. We just finish up now. We'll talk a little bit about our program, answer a few questions. But hey, you're a vital part of our program, Coach. We love having you around. Coming in, I wish we haven't been in the office in a long time, but when you come down and stop down, it makes our day. And we appreciate you support us like there's no other, and we can't thank you enough.
Well, I really appreciate you guys including me. I'm happy to help. I'm glad to be a part of it. It's made it a lot of fun for me.
Awesome. Well, stick around, and if you have anything to say, we'd love to hear it. But for our fans, not much to update you this week. Our guys are still training hard, as much as they can. And, they're lifting still and they're wrestling in the RTC stuff. But other than that, we're excited for Friday night. Our football team kicks off, and like everybody's been saying, we want our football team to get through this with no casualties, and we just need to keep fighting through this pandemic and see where we can go. And our guys are very excited about having a postseason and getting ready for the national tournament. So with that, if we have any questions from our fans, we'd love to answer them.
We have a few questions. So first up, fans are just interested in how long you guys have been coaching for. So maybe we can do a little circle quick and just talk about starting with Coach Bono. How many years have you been coaching for, and how did you get your start?
I started in 1997. I graduated college, and I was lucky enough to get on staff right away with Coach Douglas at Iowa State. And then I took about 18 months off between then and I don't know what the math is there, from 97 to now with about 2 years off to go sell medical devices. So whatever that number is, Gross is our numbers guy. That's how long I've been. I know that I've been a head coach 3, 6 is 9, 11 years. I'm going on my 12th years as a head coach, and then an assistant coach the rest of that time.
Great. Coach Reeder?
All right. I've been coaching since 2012. Like Coach Bono, I had the privilege to join my alma mater at Iowa State right after graduating in 2011. I was a volunteer, and I teamed back up with Coach Bono in 2014 at SDSU, and I've been with him ever since.
And Coach Gross, you're newest, but why don't you share that for our fans?
Yep, I've been coaching for a long time. It's been not even 6 months now, but gained a lot of experience in that time. But no, it's been great. I jumped in right after I graduated last year. Season got cut short and got the opportunity to jump on staff and learn from two amazing guys right here. So I'm looking forward to it, and hopefully have a long coaching career like these two.
And Coach Kleven, you shared a lot of great memories of when you were with the program, but can you just tell fans how long were you coaching Wisconsin for?
I coached Wisconsin for 12 years. I only coached 20 years in all. And after 12 years, I just thought it was time for Russ. He'd been assistant, very loyal. Otherwise, somebody else was going to grab him, and eventually his friend Rick Bay hired him at Ohio State anyway.
So that was a great question from Chris Meyer on Instagram, and we got another good one from Nick DeRosa 1, and he asked, "What's the best memory of your coaching careers?"
Man, I don't know if I can personally limit or get to one, but obviously I got to be in the corner when Cale Sanderson won his 4th NCAA championship and finished his career undefeated. And then our first All-American at the University of Tennessee Chattanooga, Cody Cleveland, was very, very special for me. And then Seth Gross winning the national championship at South Dakota State, the first national champion ever in the school's history, Division I history, were very special. Those were some of the 3 special moments that I've ever had.
And Coach Reeder?
Hands down, it would be 2018 NCAA tournament. We had been at SDSU for a little bit there, and all the hard work it built up to that year. We had 3 All-Americans, 1 NCAA champ, no doubt about it. That was it'll stick in my mind for a long time.
And Coach Gross, you've only, like you mentioned, you're new to coaching, but have you got any memories that stick out so far in just your last few months that have really stuck out to you?
Yeah, I mean, I've coached that one tournament so far, and I guess it was a cool experience. I got to jump in my fiance's corner. She's trying to make a world team out here, so I got to do that, and that was really cool for both of us. And so I guess so far that's my favorite memory.
All right. How does our team go about celebrating significant wins, whether it's duels or tournaments? Do you guys have any kind of traditions, or is there anything that stands out to you?
Yeah, girls.
I was gonna say, yeah, we just love to go get some good food after we win a match, and that's kind of I think that's common in wrestling is go get some good food, right? You just got done, you got down to weight, kick some butt, and then go get some food and hang out with each other and just be around each other.
As far as how we celebrate, we try to get ready for the next match as coaches. They go eat food, we start looking at film of that match and trying to get ready for the next one.
Sure. And we've got another question. I know we had a similar question when we had Braxton Amos on last week, but for the coaches, do you guys have any favorite cross-training workouts? I think this is young athletes probably looking for advice on how to train and up their game.
I would say for me, I'll start. I like to do anything that's going to be wrestling oriented. If it's got some kind of component that's wrestling built into it, whether it's CrossFit, pull-ups, just being creative with your workouts. That's something that the 3 of us love to do. Come in there, put something on the board, whether it's pull-ups, push-ups, running, sprints, stair stepper, all kinds of different things. You can get creative.
Yeah, I can jump in there next. I'd say for me, one thing, I don't know if you can say if this would fit in there, but one thing I always do outside of wrestling practice is a lot of grip strength workouts. And that's been huge for me. I know grip strength is kind of something that's underrated in wrestling and not a lot of guys work on consistently. So that's one thing that I feel like gives me a little bit of edge is just constantly working on my grip strength, doing ropes, doing, some barbell grip stuff, just a lot of different things there. So that's kind of my favorite thing to do outside of wrestling.
Coach Kleven, did you have anything from your time coaching that was your go-to recommendation for training and workouts for your athletes?
Well, I listened to Grady Pinninger and Myron Roderick, a couple old-time coaches at a couple of clinics, and we spent all our time on takedowns and stand-ups. Monday, Wednesday takedowns, Tuesday stand-ups, Thursday was a combination, and we never wrestled during the week. We didn't want to miss class. We wrestled weekends, except, the national tournament or the Big Ten. We had Hell Week to start the season, ended up with a run out to the end of Picnic Point. But mostly, we did a lot of drilling, too much. If I do it over again, I'd do more live wrestling and less drilling.
Love it.
Anything to add, Coach Bono?
I love it. Less drilling, more wrestling, right, Coach? I love it.
Yeah. I know at Iowa State, we went to one of their practices once to scrimmage with them, and they wrestled the whole time. At least when Nick was the coach.
That's right.
There's one final question from fans, and this one just is about how do you help your student athletes deal with self-doubt?
Coach Kleven, how about you? I'd like to hear how you would answer this question.
Well, we had a sports psychologist, and he wasn't on staff or anything. He was over in the physical education department. He was a good friend of mine, Bill Morgan. And we had a couple kids talk to him, and I felt he was effective with one, especially who had a real problem when he got to the finals, and he wound up winning the Big Ten championship. David Evans. It just seemed like you had to convince them that they could do it. And it's hard when they're later, if they're not, there's 80%, that's the old 20%, 80% rule, 10% you can't screw up. Their winners are going to win. They're like Lee Kemp, they're going to win. And then there's 10% that you almost can't make winners out of. Something's going to happen. And then there's that 80% that determines how good a coach you are. Try to create a winner's atmosphere. And then if you've got Lee Kemp, John, Ben, Russ in the room, that helps.
Yep. For me with self-doubt is I try to make sure that the guys understand that they have to do the work and believe that they did the work. And if you do the work, then you deserve to win. So there should be no doubt. If you did everything possible to be that national champion, to be the Olympic champion, you should be ready to win. I believe there's a lot of self-doubt because the guys really, truly don't believe they put the work in, or something happened. They cheated their diet, or they cheated the run, or they cheated on the drill, but the guys that absolutely put the work in should have zero self-doubt. And that's what I tell them. I know that every time you step on the line, you shake that guy's hand, the last thing out of your mouth should be, I deserve to win. You should tell yourself every time you deserve to win, but you got to put the work in to believe everything you say.
I'd buy that.
All right. Well, Coach, again, thanks so much for joining us, man. You're the best. I appreciate all you do for our program. And to all you fans out there, thanks for the questions. This is the show's getting better, and if any feedback would be awesome. Coach Reeder, Gross, thank you, and Jess for being our moderator. We're going to take this thing to new heights each week. So, everybody, I appreciate it if you're tuning in. Hopefully, everybody starts their week off right and jump around.